Grace Atwater. I'm so disappointed in the kids this year. Okay, I understand that I'm pretty much one of a kind when it comes to appreciating the food here. Most kids would take chicken nuggets or a hamburger over salad every time. And even my fellow vegetarians gravitate toward pizza, not to mention snacks and sweets. I'm used to the griping and complaining at the Oasis. The speeches about stomach cramps, or burping so much, or trading my left butt cheek for a Big Mac or an order of chili nachos. It happens every summer. It's never more than half serious because everybody knows that there's no junk food bonanza to trade body parts for, and it's mostly in good fun. Some of us like the food more than others. We all make the best of it. No one is making the best of it this year. No one has to, courtesy of Jet. This is the summer of the candy bar. Jet has flooded the Oasis with them. Now that we have our own keys to the private launch, he has access to the grocery store in Hedge Apple, which means a never-ending supply. Put aside the fact that he jacks up the price about 600%. If his customers are crazy enough to pay it, that's their problem. Ignore the undeniable truth that Jet needs money like they need sand in the Sahara. Forget that I can't even turn him in, because his side business is also providing Brandon with the 3 bars a day he requires in exchange for keeping silent about needles. I can handle all that. I don't love it, but I'm mature enough to accept that I don't live in a perfect world. What I can't accept is that a few dozen candy bars are ruining everything Magnus Fellini has built. Before, kids would get into the Oasis lifestyle because they had no choice. By the end of their time here, even the most negative would have to admit that they were better off because of it. They were fitter, more energetic, more positive, calmer, and more whole. And somewhere along the way, they usually managed to enjoy themselves at least a little. But Jet isn't just selling candy. He's offering a way to drop out of everything Magnus worked so hard to bring to the world. You start off by missing all the great nutrition because you're glooming candy bars on the side. Then, you're goofing off at awakening because you don't have enough energy, or missing it altogether since you can't wake up in time. Soon, the bath feels too hot, the activity is too exhausting. And forget meditation, nobody can seem to settle down. I know Ivory senses it too, but she can't figure out what's wrong. The problem isn't her pathfinding, it's the fact that most of her students are buzzing on a permanent sugar high. So, I'm disappointed. It's disappointing that the kids here are so shallow that they'd throw away a chance at mind and body wellness for the fleeting taste of a little chocolate. It's disappointing that Tyrell would let himself be turned into Jet's loyal sidekick. And sure, I have my problems with Brooklyn, but the one thing you could always say about her is she's independent. Where's that independence when she's hawking candy right alongside Tyrell and Jet? Most disappointing of all, I know about this, and I'm doing nothing to stop it. I have a good reason, but is my reason good enough? The Oasis is supposed to be my favorite place in the whole world. It's like I'm being torn in two. By the way, there is one kid here who hasn't disappointed me even a little bit. When I first met Jet, I knew then and there that he was a loser, a troublemaker, and a worm. Well, he's turned out to be all that and more. It's impossible to be disappointed in a person when your opinion of him is already rock bottom. It's too bad the boxes of fireworks he had hidden under his bed didn't go off some night, sending him on a one-way trip to the moon. But I can't do anything about what's happening because of poor little Needles, the one bright spot in this awful summer. If it wasn't for him, I don't know what I'd do. As the Oasis gets worse and worse for me, I start spending more time in the shed at the edge of the woods. I'd love to say I'm enjoying watching him frolic in his paint tray, except that he doesn't move. Jet claims it's impossible to interact with Needles, which only goes to show what Jet knows about pets, which is zero. Oh, sure, I can't play with Needles the way I play with Benito back home, but Benito's a mammal, and Needles isn't. There are plenty of ways to interact with a lizard. like sitting in sociable silence. I speak to him in a quiet voice, and he never takes his eyes off my face. I can say things to Needles that I wouldn't tell anybody else. He's a restful companion, something Jet will never be. Even standing still, you can tell that Jet is pure chaos, waiting to be unleashed on the world. Needles is the opposite of that. Peace, intelligence, tranquility, contemplation. He belongs at the oasis. He may be against the rules, but he's as whole as any living creature could be. Just the sight of his unmoving brownish form has the power to relax me. I sit cross-legged on the floor by the paint tray, and all my conflicted feelings about this summer melt away. Sometimes I even practice a little meditation. When I breathe in, I breathe in. When I breathe out, I breathe out. Needles is almost as good as meditation as Ivory because he doesn't allow himself to be distracted. Together we clear our minds and I retreat into myself in the tight humidity of the shed. I almost miss it. A tiny field mouse scurries across the metal floor. With a splash of water, Needles explodes out of the paint tray, opens his jaws far wider than I would have believed possible, snaps up the mouse, and swallows it whole. He's back in the paint tray faster than I can blink. It's all over so quickly that I can't even be sure I really saw it. The mouse is gone, and Needles is back in his usual position, looking serene. Maybe I dreamed the whole thing. After all, I was meditating. Only a few blood droplets decorate the floor. And is that a stray whisker floating in the water of the paint tray? Lizards don't have whiskers. I'm in a hot shed, but I actually feel cold all over. What I've just witnessed, if I really saw it, changes everything. Oh, sure, we've known for a long time that Needles is a carnivore, but it never occurred to me until right now that he's a predator. What other explanation could there be for the way he took down that mouse? In this awful summer where I'm disappointed in everything and everybody, now I'm disappointed in little Needles too. It's not his fault. He's just doing what comes naturally. But it opens up a really sticky issue. We've been hiding Needles and providing him food and shelter because we believe he can't survive in the wild. But what I just saw proves that Needles is nowhere near as helpless as we thought. Nature has given him the tools to survive. As much as I love Needles, we have no excuse for keeping him anymore.